Well, when you're genuinely afraid that they'll quit.
Let them quit.
Let them quit. Well,
Let them, or
You
you
just went
quit.
to like the darkest of the dark places. This is a happy
It is.
podcast. Okay, let's keep moving.
All right, back to the happiness with Jennifer and Savanah. In 3, 2, 1.
The best leadership happens when you step away for 10 minutes.
This is Back in 10.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Back in 10. I'm Jen.
And I'm Scar. My name is Savanah. Welcome to
I'm
Back
so
in 10.
confused by what just happened. So today, what we're going to be talking about is how do we hold people accountable when we're genuinely afraid that they're going to quit? And I think this is a huge topic, especially right now with the challenges in hiring, specifically for like clinical team members. And Savannah, I know that we've talked about this on previous episodes too. Like, what do you do if you have a top producer, right? That's maybe not culturally aligned, but what do you think? How do you hold people accountable when you're genuinely afraid, like that they're going to walk on out the door?
Walk on out the door. Maybe I should just if they're gonna quit, I'll do it first. Maybe I'll just walk on out the door. Like, so I don't have to deal with that. Like coaches and mentors say, like, we have to hold people accountable. Even like, I know it's, you can do it. It's not that easy. It's not easy, especially look at the industry right now, right? Short staffed, hiring crisis, the salary for the practices through the roof. And you're like, oh God, if I have a conversation, like they could just leave me. They could leave me. And that also goes back to communication. So if you haven't listened to the communication episodes, guys, go back to listen to that because it's a conversation. It shouldn't be conflict, but just a conversation. So breathe through it. But holding people accountable when you're afraid they're going to quit because of what's happening in the industry is hard. It's hard. You have your processes and your protocols that you can refer back to keep them accountable, but there is an emotional tie to not wanting to fail and not wanting to disappoint the practice and the doctor. And I think that when we see that a person is, allowed to avoid accountability because we don't want them to quit, there you put too much in power in their court because not everyone is that valuable to lose. Like Chris said in the beginning of the episode, we're going to find the next person. It might take some time. And I think that's what we need to get comfortable with, is that in a day and age where everything comes to us in a split second, building a team isn't that quick. It has to be intentional.
No, it does. And I'll say this is from my experience. This is what my boss from years ago used to say, is that he used to be afraid that people would leave, and that if someone left or what have you, for whatever reason, that it would take us forever to find someone. And like, what if they're not a good person? Right. Yeah. And what he said was he didn't worry about it as much, because when someone did leave for whatever reason, that I would always find someone else, and that they were always better. They were more culturally aligned and a better fit than the person that left. Yeah. I will say, if you are not willing, and I think, I understand where you're coming from, and I hear that too. Totally get it. I've been in that position. But I think I'll say maybe, I don't know, maybe I feel like I'm old, but I feel like now in life, if you are a leader in a practice and you're not willing to hold yourself and your team accountable, that's the culture that you're choosing.
Yeah. Yeah, your standards can't depend on who is threatening to leave.
Correct. Because if you do that, it's just everything's downhill from there.
Yeah.
And I think, look, again, like you had said, Savannah, like not every conversation is a conflict, and don't think about it that way. So if you have a conversation that you need to have with a team member to hold them accountable, don't go into it like it's going to be an argument. If you go into it with a mindset that they're going to leave, then guess what? They're going to leave.
Yeah.
But if you go into it as a mindset of, you know what, I want to help to deliver the best care to our patients, and I want to make sure that our team feels supported. Don't
Yeah.
come at it like, you know, hey Susie, what the fuck? Like what did you just do? Like you can't
Yeah.
do that. These are things
Right.
that you can't do, right? Like say I'm going to say Susie's a hygienist. Susie is not doing all the diagnostic tools that are needed to support your patients and is not supporting your standard of care. Instead of going in it thinking like Susie's going to leave because I'm going to tell her that she's not doing what she needs to do, so she's going to leave. Come at it from a side of what is happening with Susie that either maybe she doesn't have enough time, maybe she feels like that she's not supported. Do we have the right tools to let her do perio charting and radiographs? Like, do we have enough
Yeah.
sensors in the office? Maybe the sensors were all taken at that time and she
Yeah.
didn't have time to take the radiographs that were needed. Like, think about the other side of it and what could have happened instead of automatically assuming that someone is doing something just because they don't want to. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes as leaders, like we don't take the time enough because we're so busy to pause and think about the other side of it. We just think it didn't get done and that's it.
I
I know
I
you
agree with
wanted to
you.
say something. I could tell it was burning.
No, I agree with you. They need the tools to succeed. So we can hold them accountable. But I want to talk about like the stigma around accountability these days. It has such a negative connotation. And accountability should not be looked at negatively, okay?
No.
It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. You are a
Mm-mm.
working adult. There are expectations put into place
Mm-hmm.
for how you are expectations to perform in said position. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise if
No.
something goes really well and you're held accountable, because things can go well and you can hold people accountable for great things. And if something doesn't go as planned, holding someone accountable that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, accountability is not trying to catch your team doing something wrong. That's
No.
not what it is.
No.
It's
No.
making sure that the expectations that you have set for those team members are totally impossible to misunderstand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to like when you're bringing in a team member and you're onboarding them, the mission, the why, the expectations
Mm-hmm.
of that practice. If those are
Mm-hmm.
ingrained from the start, it
Yes.
makes having
Yes.
conversations just a conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
accountability is no longer a negative connotation. It's
Right.
we have set a standard for ourselves
Right.
and for our patients,
Right.
and we have to meet that.
Mm-hmm.
That
So this,
Can I interject one thing?
sure.
yeah.
Savannah, you said something that I think is sorely missing. Not necessarily, I can't speak on dental because I've never been an office manager, but I've run my own business for almost 20 years. I've worked with other people, worked for other people. I think the one thing that's missing that you said, that if more leaders would take this approach, things would be a whole hell of a lot better. And that is expecting greatness and holding people accountable for their greatness.
Greatness.
I think too many people are looking, too many leaders are looking for that reason to get rid of someone. They're looking for that, I got you, you didn't meet expectations. I don't think we celebrate meeting and exceeding expectations and achieving greatness
Yeah.
enough. That's my opinion of from 20 years of being in a bit,
Mm-hmm.
running a business.
I
So
agree with
sorry.
you.
I'll
I
say,
agree with you.
I think if more leaders took that approach of, I'm going to celebrate greatness more than I'm going to ridicule you for not meeting expectations, I think you would see a much happier workforce. I don't think as a leader, you would be worried about people leaving,
Yeah.
right? I think, hi Groot, I think I think it would create an even better culture. Sorry, that's
So-
just something I felt had to be brought forward. Sorry.
Yeah. And you know what I'll say to that though, Chris, because when we talk about greatness and we talk about expectations, the thing that I see the most is that those expectations are not communicated with the team. So they don't even know what greatness looks like. And I think that is more of a problem. So when you have every single office needs to have a written standard of care for their practice. This
Of course,
is the standard. This is the bottom. This is the absolute minimum that we need to do to serve our patients, to serve each other, everything. This is our minimum.
The bare
Anything
ass
above
minimum.
that,
the BAM, the bare
exactly.
minimum.
Everything above that is the greatness, right? But if you never have that expectation and tell your team, this is what the standard is, written, it needs to be written. Don't tell me that you have a standard of care and then tell me like, oh yeah, no, like this is what it is. No, I want to physically see it. I want it in my hand or on a screen. Then your
And
team
revisit
never
it.
knows.
Don't
have
do
to
it
look. You
once,
have to look at
revisit
these
it.
things. No,
Yes.
you do. And honestly, I know Chris. I was on a podcast recently that you were just so happened to produce. And some of this came up because they were talking about standardization versus specialization. And standardization is this is what we need to do. These are the things that we have to do every single time to check things off, to make sure that everything gets done that we need to, so we can, treat the patients the best, get paid for what we do, right? All of these things, this is what we have to do. The specialization part comes in when we are showing team members that they have the ability to be great, to be more, to be human, to use their clinical and professional judgment, right? To do these things. If we don't allow them to do that as leaders, that's on us. That's not on them.
Clear expectations before you can consequence anybody.
1,000%. But until you can give them kudos. Because how do you give one team member kudos for doing something great when no one knows what good is?
What the foundation of goodness. Yeah. No,
Yep.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. You gotta know where the floor is. And I agree. I think there are in life, whether it's professional, personal, whatever, I don't think standards, bare ass minimum standards are communicated effectively in any aspect of life. I don't give a shit if it's your work life, your personal life, your friendships, like, that's, but again, I think if more leaders, one, did what you said, Jen, were more effective in communicating what the bare ass minimum is, right? But then if they would look for the greatness.
Good. I think we're going to end on that for we're going to let the wizard end that one. So, thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in today. And we hope that you can kind of sit back and you can think about where you're at. And do you have a standard for your team so that way they can, just
be held accountable
great.
without feeling nervous or without you feeling nervous that they're going to quit.
Yes. Preach. There you go. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for spending a few minutes with us on Back in 10.
If something made you laugh, nod, or feel a little more human, share it with a friend and make sure that you're subscribed.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Back in 10 Pod for more behind the scenes, updates, and probably a little chaos.
We're not here to have it all figured out. We're just here to tell you the things that we wish someone had told us.
And remind you that leadership doesn't have to be perfect, just real.
We'll be back in 10.